Mr. Schlereth, how we doing?
I am doing great. How are you guys?
We're great. How'd you enjoy your latest trip to Foxborough?
Loved it, man. Loved it. The Patriots are playing real live, excellent football, so that's always fun. So I enjoyed the heck out of it. I thought it was great. I thought, the coaching staff and meeting with Vrabel and those guys and Josh, I thought that was awesome. So I had a great time, and the Patriots are playing great football.
Speaking of Josh and playing some great football, they were in a little bit of a dogfight in the first half, and then all of a sudden in the third quarter against supposedly the best defense in the NFL, they dialed it up. 3 touchdowns later, and boom, it's a blowout. Were you surprised to see that sort of get out of hand so quickly there in that quarter?
I don't know that I was surprised. I thought I was it was interesting because, talking to Josh, and Josh is very, he's great. Like, he'll let you know what he's planning on doing. And what they were planning on doing with the run game, and to watch him orchestrate as a coordinator. So they had talked about, and he had talked about running the ball inside. And basically in that defense, in Jim Schwartz's defense, they are playing wide 9 techniques, outside defensive ends or, a couple of gaps removed. So you're just not getting the ball outside. And so that's what they had talked about. So they wanted to run some wham and some inside trap. But you can't live there. You can't stay there because you'll get a tight end crushed. If you're like, I'm going to wham this 3 technique every play, this drive, and you do it once and you sneak up on him and you trick him. The next time he comes down and just absolutely destroys your tight end, and that guy's out for 4 weeks. So you can't live in that world. And to watch them adjust to where they got the ball outside, whether it was the pin and pull game, but they started before the pin and pull game, motioning the guy down, basically hitting that defensive end from the outside in, and then pitching the ball and getting outside. They actually read him, and there's this old kind of college term when you're reading a dude. Basically, you're not blocking the guy. If we can't block the guy based on the position he's in, let's read him. And let's fake a handoff inside and then run the flip or the pitch or the jet sweep around the guy and frustrate that guy that way. And I just thought that was a brilliant move. And then the play action stuff that came off of that was excellent as well. And like you said, the next thing you hang 3 on them in the third quarter and it's a blowout.
Man, if you are a football guy and you don't love these calls, pin and pull, wham technique, I'm telling you, I'm going to football school each and every Tuesday. You call in, Stink. I love it. I got a question for you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, it's a sort of a 2-parter, but it's all relevant. Who was your Myles Garrett back during the day in your playing days, and how good do you think this can be for the development of Will Campbell in the long run to have to go against an absolute monster like Myles Garrett, get beat a couple times, and hopefully the iron sharpens the iron?
Yeah, well, that's one of those things that I would look at if I was on the coaching staff or I was coaching offensive line, and I'd be pissed at the design of what we're doing, or I'd be mad at myself. Because the way you were trying to block him, and you think it's a double team, but it's not. It's really 2 single teams. And what I mean by that is you put the tight end on him and had him set. And so the tight end blocked 1,000 release, and now you're back to a one-on-one with Will Campbell, and Myles Garrett's got space. And I'd like to line up a guy over there, and inside I'm taking him, I'm up kicking him, you hold on the outside, and you stay with me for 2 or 3 seconds before you release. So we're actually having 4 hands on that player at the same time, as opposed to the 2 hands of the tight end on him, now I release, and now it's the 2 hands of the tackle. So that to me is a schematic issue. I would change the schematics on that. I would never kind of block it that way. I hated the way they did that, and we mentioned it in the broadcast. Sometimes you got to slide to him, whatever. But I want to get all my 4 hands on that dude at all times. He is a beast, man. He's a problem. There's no question about it. And I also said on the broadcast, I think Will Campbell's going to be an All-Pro player. And I love the way he tracks in the run game, the way he's put together. And then he's perfect for Boston because he's got some mass hole in him, he's got a little bit of that dog in him that I really like. So, this is one of those beat downs you take. And I've been there, with, shoot, I played in the day where, you got to face guys like Reggie White and you got to face guys like Lawrence Taylor, and those dudes were frightening. When you break a huddle and all of a sudden you flip around, your back's to the defense and you flip around and Reggie White was lined up against you, you were just like, oh, shoot, here we go. Like, what did I do to deserve this butt whipping I'm about to take? So that's part of the learning curve of playing in the National Football League. Those guys are really good, and that dude is as good as they get.
Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. I know you've been a fan of Drake Maye, and hell, pretty much everybody on the planet is a fan of Drake Maye these days. But in person, what was your reaction specifically to there was a two-play segment in, I think, the third quarter where he had that 28-yard run and then immediately had the 39-yard touchdown. And that was part of when the game just got out of hand. So what did you think of his athleticism, his deep balls, everything you saw in person with Drake Maye?
Yeah, you know what? My biggest takeaway with Drake Maye is obviously he's playing great football and he's making really good decisions, but how much room there is for growth. Like, he's playing this good, and, talking to Josh McDaniels, it's like when I watch him on film, there's a lot of front side read, 1-2. If 1 or 2 is not open, he goes through his progression 1-2, and then it's like his natural reaction most of the time is, oh, it's open in the middle, let me take off and run. And so it's 1-2, take off. 1-2, take off if it's not open. And so there's so much more room for growth to get to 1, 2, 3, 4 on the backside, right? There's that to get to the rest of your progression, which he occasionally does. But most of the time he's like, if those 2 aren't open, man, I'm going to go make something happen. And so you think about where he is right now and the way he's playing right now. And then you start to think about, well, what happens when all of a sudden he starts consistently getting to 3, 4 and completing those passes instead of taking off and running. And that's still a viable weapon, no question about it. But to create less opportunity for injury and to take hits, to be able to get to that, that's going to be, when he gets there, I mean, how exceptional is that going to be? And his deep ball accuracy and his feel right now on the deep ball, absolutely incredible. It just is incredible. It's so much fun to watch. And he's playing so good. And I love watching Stephon Diggs, who's got a history of being, somewhat of a diva. And to watch him just to catch that touchdown and go celebrate with everybody on the sideline, and everybody's getting dapped up and hugs, and it just is. It's really cool to see the kind of connection they have created there, the culture, if you will, that they have created there under Vrabel.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Stink, because that was the next question I wanted to ask. Just from where you sat watching the whole game, the meetings, the interviews, post game, the whole of it. Anything else you saw on the Patriots that just screamed to you up in the booth? Yep, there's Mike Vrabel. Yep, Mike Vrabel had his hands in that. Yep, that's the Mike Vrabel effect.
It's one thing I talked about on the broadcast just for a second. Like, I played against Parcells. I was with Washington when he was the Giants head coach. And then I was, obviously in Denver when he was in New England. And then with the Jets as well, we faced Parcells in an AFC championship game. And like everybody else, we beat the snot out of the Jets. I mean, that's not like how they ever got to how did the Jets ever get to NFC or AFC championship game like that? But who knows? But anyhow, one of the things that was really cool for me is everywhere that Parcells went, Steve Diassi and Pepper Johnson came with him, right?
Yep.
That was just like a staple. And he brought a couple of his guys to implement his system and to make sure, those guys kind of, the rest of the guys in the locker room kind of could stomach him, because he was a hard-nosed dude, right? And I'm watching and I'm just kind of studying rosters and I'm going through my stuff and my prep, and I'm like, look at this, man. He gets Harold Landry is there from Tennessee. You got Robert Spillane came from Tennessee. He was obviously with the Raiders before he got to New England, but he was in Tennessee with Vrabel. And then you got Jack Gibbons, who was in Tennessee with Vrabel. I'm like, just like Bill Parcells, kind of bringing his guys along. And I just thought that that's kind of a cool thing. And then you just watch him, as hard-nosed as he is, and as demanding as he is, man, I tell you what, there's such a connection there. And then watching him on Friday's practice, you know, I love watching him put the penny on and get involved in practice, right? And he's running scout team stuff, and I just find him, you know, he can be salty now. You guys know, you've dealt with him. He can be a salty dude, but he really has that ability to connect with his players, and I think you see that firsthand every weekend.
So, Mark, we're getting ahead of ourselves probably a little bit here. We haven't even hit the midway point, but, you know, we have a 6-win team that's in first place and is the number 2 seed in the AFC. So I'm going to ask you, is this Patriots team a Super Bowl contender this season?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. Is their quarterback going to continue to play like he's playing right now for the rest of the year? Then absolutely. And I think you look at their schedule, right? They've already proved they can beat Buffalo. Miami is a train wreck. The Jets are a train wreck. Like, your own division, you know, is tough. Like, it's not good. Tough meaning it's really poor. So, like, you're going to get through your division with a lot of wins, and scheduling-wise, I think you've got it pretty good in the schedule side. And defensively, they're a damn good football team. You know, I mean, you've got an elite-level corner on one side. Carlton Davis is a really good player, long, likes to use his hands, you know, will beat people up. I think you're getting great play on your front seven. And you got a coach that's going to hold people accountable, and they're going to work. So, yeah, like, why wouldn't they be a legitimate Super Bowl contender? And then you're talking about the AFC, which, like, the Chiefs look like they're becoming the Chiefs again. The Colts are a really good football team, you know, with what they've got going on there, and Jonathan Taylor and all that. But, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't think that about the Patriots.
All right, take that to the podcast. Make sure you spread that on a national level, because we're getting ahead of ourselves in Boston, but spread that around. Patriots are Super Bowl contenders, baby.
Well, you know what? I may not. I don't know. We're going to see exactly what happens. We're going to see exactly what happens.
All right, Mark, we look forward to talking to you next week.
Sounds good, guys. Be well.
Thank you, Stank.